Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into today's video. We're going to do the 5th winter roundup today. We're going to have a look at things like sea surface temperature anomalies, sea and ice, snow cover extent, to just see how things are developing as now we build up to the key and crucial and pivotal lead up to the winter of 2012-2013. We really are getting close now to the key period. Really the next 2-3 weeks is when we'll get the last of the seasonal model updates, and we'll start to put all of the roundup videos and what we see in the roundup videos, we'll start to put it all together to come up with a prediction forecast for what may or what is likely to happen through the winter of 2012-2013. Now, before I get on with the video, I just want to talk about the advertising. There'll usually be a video ad overlaying my weather videos at GavsWeatherVids.com. Please play those video ads. You will be supporting GavsWeatherVids.com by doing that. Also want to mention that everything you see in this video, the websites that I'm using for this video, can be found on my links page. Just click on the links tab, go through to the links page. You'll see all of these websites for yourself. So it's only 1 week since I did the last roundup video, the 4th winter roundup. We're going to do it weekly now though, because as I said, we're reaching that key, critical, vital lead up really to the winter of 2012-2013. So these videos now for the next couple of weeks or 2-3 weeks are going to go weekly as we build up towards the key period. So let's start with the sea surface temperature anomalies from the last time we did the video, which was just 1 week ago. This is from the 25th of October. There's 3 areas we're looking at. We're looking at the ENSO region in the equatorial Pacific. We're looking at this area further north in the Pacific, which is telling us what state the PDO, Pacific Decadal Oscillation, is in. And then of course we're looking at the excuse me, we're looking at the Atlantic. So what I said in the last video is that we was beginning to see signs of some warming here in the central and western part of the equatorial Pacific, but still really we've got a neutral ENSO signal here. The PDO was cold, although not as cold as it has been in the last few months, but still in the cold PDO, which we're likely to be in, of course, for the next 10-20 years perhaps. And in terms of the Atlantic, we've got the tripole here, the warm, cold and warm bands, although the sea surface temperature anomalies had lessened somewhat actually around Newfoundland and to be south of Greenland. So now let's go on and have a look at the latest sea surface temperature anomaly from NOAA. This is for the 1st of November, so this was just on Thursday, and a couple of interesting developments have taken place. First of all, in the ENSO region, we're seeing a little bit more strengthening in the temperature here in the mid and western equatorial Pacific. Go back to this chart from the 25th of October. That was the situation. I don't know if you can see this, I hope you can, but going forward again, we see that yes, we have seen a little bit more upwelling of the warm waters here in the mid and western part of the equatorial Pacific. Now we're still not at the El Nino threshold, but things are beginning to push up now a little bit more towards weak El Nino conditions, and even further west actually into this more western, more eastern part I should say of the equatorial Pacific. We're beginning to see somewhat warmer waters beginning to upwell again. If we go back, Bering situation on the 25th in this area, going forwards, yes, we have seen a little bit of warmer water begin to upwell even here. So maybe we're beginning to inch ever so gradually towards a weak El Nino signal, although it has to be said this is still basically neutral, ENSO neutral, and whether we ever get to the weak El Nino, it's a mute point really. It takes a lot to get an El Nino. You need certain requirements, certain thresholds to be met. I explain this in the El Nino videos, of course, that I've done. Probably do another one at some point this month. But you do need certain requirements really need to be met to get to a designated El Nino. So probably we won't ever get to that, and we'll just have an ENSO neutral winter. But nevertheless, we are beginning to inch towards, very slowly, very gradually inching towards perhaps a weak ENSO type pattern in the equatorial Pacific. For the PDO, well, again, going back, this is the PDO signal here for the 25th, going forwards to the 1st November. Very little change, although maybe we've gone more towards a stronger cold PDO. Actually, these negative anomalies have probably strengthened a little bit up there. And having a look at the Atlantic, actually the tripole has strengthened. We've still got the warm bands here in the tropical Atlantic. We've got more of a colder band here through the mid-Atlantic and around here into the southeast of the United States. This is probably caused by the churn from Sandy, but nevertheless we've got more of a colder band here through this mid part of the Atlantic. And going up towards Newfoundland and Greenland, the warmer waters have actually increased a little bit. The temperature anomalies have picked up. So going back again, this is the situation on the 25th of October to the south of Greenland. Going forwards, yes, we have seen an increase in the positive temperature anomaly there. So if anything, the negative tripole, the warm, cold, warm band, that points us towards a negative NAO. Probably the signal has increased in the last week. And just one other quite interesting thing to note is this area here between Iceland and Scandinavia, the waters have cooled a little bit again. Of course, we saw some very cold water developing there around September as all the ice melt fed down into the North Atlantic. Then it picked up a little bit, those temperature anomalies through October, but now we begin to see signs that it's starting to cool again up here between Iceland and Scandinavia. Remember, I did say that if you get cold water up here in winter, it can be one of the things we look for, particularly in conjunction with warm waters here to the south of Greenland. It can be one of the things we look towards for a negative NAO. Now going on to the next thing I want to look at, it's solar activity. Solar activity is officially weak. Not surprised here because there's hardly any sunspots to be seen. We have got a few sunspots, a few developing sunspots, but really nothing much going on the solar disk, on our side of the solar disk. We're near solar maximum. I'll explain this in other videos. Near solar maximum, but this solar maximum is going to be extremely weak compared to past solar maxima. Probably the weakest solar maximum for 100 years at least. And, well, yes, we can see that there's very little going on the sun. Now, weak solar activity is one of the things that helps to increase the possibility of colder European winters through blocking, and the mechanisms aren't that clearly understood, but it's certainly one of the things that seem to correspond for Europe, not necessarily for the rest of the world. But it doesn't guarantee it. There are some people who seem to think that because the solar cycle is weak, it will guarantee a cold winter. It doesn't. Even when the solar cycle is very weak, even when you're at the depths of solar minimum, you can still get mild winters, or we can still get mild winters. So really it's like loading the dice, basically, this. It loads the dice in favour of perhaps a colder European winter with more blocking, but it certainly is by no means a guarantee, and nothing really in this video that you see does guarantee you a cold winter. It's all about probabilities and, as I say, loading the dice in a certain direction, but there are no guarantees in any of these videos that you see, and I should explain this, and in the seasonal model ones as well. It's all experimental, and really you should just be taking this for fun. Don't take it too seriously. The next thing I want to look at is the stratosphere, and the stratosphere is cooling. We're actually going a little bit colder than average again. The grey line here is the stratospheric temperature over the North Pole. Just to explain that when you have a warm stratosphere over the North Pole, stratospheric warming, that does seem to be associated with blocking over the North Pole, and can be the start of cold weather pushing down into the mid-latitudes, although where those blocks are developed and the cold weather sinks down into the mid-latitudes, where that happens is open to question. It doesn't always necessarily tell you just from the stratosphere where that's going to be. So again, this is no guarantee. If you get a stratospheric warming, it's not a guarantee that you're in for cold weather, but it's one of the things that is important to look at. And actually, we're going a little bit cooler than average. If anything, this probably implies that the polar vortex over the Arctic is going to be increasing a little bit over the next few days, and we are going to see an increase in westerly winds actually in the coming few weeks, I think, perhaps the next couple of weeks, we're going to see an increase in westerly winds that may be associated with this stratospheric cooling, although really there is a time lag here of around 4 to 6 weeks, so perhaps not. But anyway, the stratosphere at the moment isn't far from where it should be, but it's a little bit colder than where it should be, and certainly no signs of any major stratospheric warming occurring. Last thing I want to look at is the Arctic sea ice and snow cover anomalies across Eurasia. This was the snow cover chart for the last time I did this video on Saturday the 27th of October, and we have the snow here stretching in towards central parts of Europe. I said it was extremely encouraging to see this happening, snow stretching into Central Europe, but I did say that we're likely to be seeing much of this melting over the next few days, and the important area to look at is Scandinavia and this northern and western part of Russia, because that's the area where we want to be seeing snow cover developing to increase our chances of getting the Siberian high in place and building up the cold temperatures. This in Europe, it's encouraging to see it so early, but it's not really important to the fate of the winter. So going forward to the latest anomaly, which is for the latest chart, I should say, which is for Saturday the 3rd of November, and we can see we have lost much of this snow cover here in Central Europe. It's not surprising, it doesn't really matter, but the important areas here across northern Russia and stretching into Scandinavia still very good. In fact, we have seen a further increase in the snow cover across central parts of Scandinavia, so this really is very, very good, very encouraging signals here. If you're looking to get high pressure blocking established early, this is very encouraging, I think. Very good news. With everything we've looked at, this is probably the best news, really. We've got to see whether we maintain this across Scandinavia and into northern Russia. But if we do, this really is very good news. We probably want to be seeing some of this southern part of Russia here also starting to get some snow cover quite quickly. It would be helpful, but certainly this area here and stretching into Scandinavia still has the snow cover that was established last week. That is very, very good news. And in terms of the ice, well, the ice is coming back. It was a horrible melt season, but the ice is recovering. We're below where we should be, of course, but the ice will continue to recover across the Arctic over the next few months. So yes, the ice is coming back, but the damage is done, and the feedback from what we saw in the summer, the melt that we saw in the summer, probably, although it's controversial, not a lot of evidence for it, but probably does weakly feeding towards an increase in blocking in the mid-latitudes. So everything's going in the right direction, really. The ANSO signal is still around where we want it, to neutral to weak El Nino. Nothing to worry about there. The Atlantic, if anything, it's gone a little bit towards further towards the tripole, the warm, cold, warm bands. Solar activity is very weak, like to stay that way for the foreseeable future. Much weaker than it was this time last year. And in terms of the stratosphere, where we're cooling, but we're not desperately cold, we're not far from where we should be, really. And then for the snow cover, very encouraging. Scandinavia, northern Russia, the snow cover is still there that we had in place last week. Very good news if you're looking blog. So everything at the moment still going in the right direction. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.